Okay, we're live.
All right.
Hello.
Don't have to be all front. There's space.
Welcome back to iCast Wish. I am guessing I'm technically the host of iCast Wish.
Yep. You gonna need your phone.
I am the person who asked the questions. Excuse me. Just checking, make sure the live stream is going well.
Not to mention, he needs the live chat so that he can see what you guys are asking.
We have John, who is a DM. We also have Inaya, who is also a DM. And we currently have Thomas chilling here. He's out here for, the Heroes Feast that I'm making tonight. It's a weird pork combo kind of thing that I'm going to put on rice. And then on top of that, we have a lot of questions that people have taken and put in the comments. I believe it's pronounced Ilikwe. Has asked a lot of questions, so I'm going to read through those, and anybody else that has any other questions can go ahead and add, and I'll ask some of those as well. Anybody else want to add anything? Any announcements?
Well, top of my head. Oh yeah, I needed to talk to you about this, and I'm sorry to kind of put you on the spot on camera, Naya. But I was thinking that a good way to start getting things rolling for us would be to put a GoFundMe up on our links to try and keep things going and more fluid, and maybe we can afford more stuff to better our displays and such.
Yes.
All right. So any announcements? Anything for reptiles or?
Actually, not this month.
Okay.
My ink was bought by someone else this month.
Do you have anything you want to throw in there, Thomas?
Yeah, when we gonna paint the characters? When we doing that?
Well, we've got the paints and everything. We'll figure out when we're going to get together to do that. We're just going to have to see who's all down. I'm down. I know you're down. You just asked. You're always down to do creative shit.
All right, so let's see here. The first question we have from Ilikwe is, how much time do you put? Well, actually, before we start this, roll for initiative.
Alright. You're getting the dragon this time. This will either roll really crappy.
You don't have to roll for initiative, it's just them rolling.
So we end up fielding most of the questions.
18.
5.
Alright. So it goes Inaya and then Sean. I mean, you can roll for initiative if you want to answer any of these questions.
I don't know if you put any prep into what you do for a game.
I'll make up shit. Yeah, 15.
Well, you do have a character,
Ding, ding, ding.
2 different campaigns, and you do have to think about what they've been through and what they're going through.
All right.
Because it ain't yours.
So our first question is, how much time do you put into each episode's storyline, and what kind of work goes into that?
You rolled high.
Yep. I mean, you're first.
I'll regret it.
You deserve this.
For me, it is actually like a couple hours per episode because I am the brand of writer that likes to look at all of the potential monkey wrenches and try to write something I could go with. And then it's inevitable that the monkey wrench that gets thrown at me is the one I didn't notice.
Hi. I'm good at that.
So while a couple hours goes into planning, almost no time goes into what y'all actually see.
Completely fair.
Like when I was doing it, I used the DM back in like 2.0 and 3.0. Like, you can, if you know your group of people well enough, you can usually plan for most of the chaos. But as far as like laying out the storyline, before I even started the campaign, I probably put fucking weeks into it just to kind of streamline it and just come up with stuff on the spot, depending on the outcomes or however the last session went. I mean, with the guys, if you people I was gaming with at the time. So
Yeah.
you're usually looking at it's a chunk of your life. You want to be good at it and be able to adapt.
Okay, so the Knox storyline. Oh Jesus.
So
You deserve this.
1 second. Go ahead and answer the question. I'm gonna go check on food. I'll be right back.
Yeah, he's making me bomb. It's torture.
The best kind.
The best kind. The smell. I'm a foodie by heart. Anyway, so to topic at hand, Knox and what goes into that storyline. So originally, I started out writing really elaborate storylines way back in the early ages of my teens when I wrote DM. Then I discovered something. I decided it was a better idea to write a world. Write a world that has things going on in it. There's still stuff going on in my world that they have no idea of, and I've just kind of been keeping track of it and letting it run wild in my imagination. I did not expect them to turn around backwards until the last minute last week. I knew what I was going to do if they did, but I was kind of hopeful they didn't. The fact is that, especially with this group, there was a meme that Anaya made a while ago that says one does not simply keep one's sanity while DMing for By the Dice. And the fact is that it is very true. My creative process anymore for getting ready for game looks like this. I look at everything that I wrote the week prior to the game that we just ran.
Mm.
I then proceed to cry a little bit into my pillow after game. I then proceed to slam my head into the wall at 4 o'clock in the morning when I wake up before Pudgy's awake.
Maybe before I go to sleep.
Yeah, that one. And sit there racking my mind for give or take 2-3 hours to try and figure out what the hell I'm going to do now, because it's a guarantee that they didn't take the bait in the way I expected them to at the bare minimum. If they don't just completely do a 180 and said, I had like the best stretch I've ever had. There was 3 weeks where I had to do like a half hour of reminder read over it prep because they just followed the storyline. Other than that, it works like this. I know what the main big bad evil guy is. I know that I have to throw obstacles and puzzles at them, and I have to make them at least complicated enough that 4 people of relatively high intelligence can't figure them out in 3 seconds flat. Like, I'm never telling you guys what I did to that door that made it so you popped it, you just broke it with a spear.
Okay.
And it takes me about 3 days worth of all of my spare time when I look like I'm spacing out playing video games. I'm running over every possible scenario to see what's most likely and least likely. And sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't. But I'd say I put a good half of my week into that storyline to make sure things flow, because I have a whole bunch of people who like throwing monkey wrenches.
All right. We also have another question from someone else. It is, I hope I'm pronouncing this right. If I'm not, please, tell me how to pronounce it correctly in the chat. It is Painpistmio Magius. It says, as streamers, how much do you value viewer input mid-game?
I mean, are we talking like the chat while we're playing and we have the general phones off or down rule? Or are we talking about hashtag justice for Maria?
I'm assuming it would be for like during game, because it does specify mid-game, so I'm assuming that would be what they're talking about. Like maybe when we go on a bio break, do we go look at input?
I mean, I definitely look at the input if there is some chat. Like,
When we do monitor it while we're gaming, it is monitored. But like last week, it came in handy because I had to remind someone that they spoke a language, and I wasn't
Right.
But like, yeah, I mean, it comes in handy too because like we misplaced a sheet or we forget something that we did a couple weeks ago, I mean, it's good to be reminded. Oh yeah. So we're not like
Yeah, we don't have to take as many notes anymore.
Me personally, I'm going to go ahead and answer this question, even though I'm not a DM. But for me personally, every time I go for bio break, one of the first things I do is I pop open the chat. I see if anybody said anything. If somebody does say something, I comment or go accordingly.
Yep.
You know.
I'm just really bad about my technology. You can ask all of these guys; they can tell you.
Yeah.
I am terrible. I forget where my phone is on my days off regularly on purpose, accidentally.
Occasionally, like there's been times in the past where we've been gaming, and there was somebody making input. I forget what it was, but it's something along the lines of somebody saying something about Wisp, which is one of my characters in Nox, and they were like, "I'll do this, Wisp. I'll do that," and it kind of gave me an idea, and I did a little bit of what they said, but I kind of played it off in my own way, just because that's my personal style. So, I mean, you can give me input, and I'm happy to read it, and as long as it's nothing really messed up, um, I'll gladly do it. I mean, for example, uh, a bunch of people were saying with Anaya's campaign that I should, in the middle of a barbarian fight with Antek, um, everybody was saying, "Oh yeah, you should smack the guy with your dick and knock him out." So my final move was I jumped up in the air and basically did a spin and mushroom stamped the dude and knocked him out cold. Like I said, it's input. If it's nothing too horrible, I'm down to do it.
Honestly, I'm just terrible about watching my tech. It's not that I don't value the input. I do go back through, I read the chats on a regular basis. I appreciate the feedback, the fact that there's people who've been watching us since pretty much the start. It's kind of amazing to me. And I love hearing from it. Like the whole Justice for Viridia thing. Yeah, I'm going to have to be reminded, but I should start checking the chats on the bio break and like pull up the chat room prior so that we can all be heard. That's all I got on that.
All right. So the next question, which was I actually got a pronunciation because I asked how to pronounce it properly. Iyekwe. The next question that they asked is, which characters were not ones you played in this stream were your favorites and why? So I'm guessing he's referring to
which player characters in my campaign were my favorite.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's a matter of NPCs.
Live or not live?
It's okay. So
oh my god,
the specifics of the question are this. I mean, make what you want with it. Which characters that were not ones you played in this stream were your favorites and why?
past characters.
Okay, so past characters in this stream and why?
I'd have to say my favorite player character so far has been Shwanaviv.
Aw.
Mostly just because of the creativity that went into designing his whole personality.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check on the food again. I will be right back.
That's
That-
cool, Blitz.
I'm gonna slap you with a flag. I love it.
I miss playing that character. But anyway, as to my favorite one, I mean, thinking back over all of them, I have reasons that I'm partial to Wisp. I have reasons that I'm partial to when Liz was playing with us, Betzel. Aspen was just always kind of a nightmare character to me. The idea of a Necro Barbie just kind of terrified me personally as an individual. Awesome idea, awesome concept, wonderful character design. Don't get me wrong. Just the idea of pretty and pink and raising things from the dead terrifies me somewhere at the core of my being. You know. personal preferences. Keep in mind, I make goblin clerics of the Platinum Dragon.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it is there, but as far as a favorite, on this stream,
My favorite is Fish Tank.
Yeah, but that's one you played.
That's true. That's true.
actually, I'm really partial to Fish Tank too.
We found Fish Tank's house this week.
I saw that.
Yeah,
It's a house on a bridge. It's awesome.
You can also segue into the next question too, with like, what's your favorite character you've ever played?
That one, I can honestly say that my favorite character that I've ever played. Call me sentimental, but it was my first. Back in second edition, I actually had a jester bard named Otta Baby It's a Boy.
Otta Baby.
Remember the old 800 call ATT commercial?
Yeah.
Yeah, I named it after that. Now, this jester, they were a bard class, and I made it so that their weapon, or their bardic instrument, was bells, and that they had one hell of an acrobatics. So what they would do is they would melodically play bells while tumbling here, there, and everywhere.
Mhm.
The problem was if you bound them, if they could make something jingle, they could cast a spell.
Damn.
Create water inside of a helmet.
Yeah.
Otta Baby It's a Boy was my absolute favorite character. He made it all the way to level 15 before he was eaten by a silver dragon who didn't buy it. Oh my god, that looks amazing. It smells like God.
All right, well, what was your favorite character you've played for By the Dice?
The King of the Leprechauns.
there's your quote.
Yeah.
Damn you, evil dice tray.
If I have to, when I did the Leprechaun's Ball one shot, oh yeah, that's something that I do every St. Patty's Day. I hold the Leprechaun's Ball.
Awesome.
And there's always a queen of the Leprechaun's Ball, and it doesn't matter what your gender is, it's always the queen, and you get it.
So the only warning I'm giving as far as the food goes is it's sweet and spicy.
You're burning me again. I mean, I'm gonna eat it, but like,
It smells like heaven. Who cares?
exactly.
But yeah, like my favorite character on By the Dice would be the Leprechaun King in my one shot, because I put like 3 weeks of solid time into building that one shot. I still need to write it down as a module.
Yeah, because that was phenomenal, and it was so much fun to play. My favorite character ever would have to have been Sarah Heth, because well, first off, she was the epitome of a redemption paladin, which is, I stand redemption paladins, they're my favorites. But she went out on a nat 20 persuading the DM or God to let her do this, casting both Dimension Door extended to an entirely different plane and Wall of Force, so her party could escape.
Push everything one way and push the party through the hole.
So the preface to that was that our arcane trickster had decided to use prestidigitation, I think it was. We were in a crowd watching the person we knew was the big bad give one of the big luxurious speeches to the crowd of his definitely not so loyal subjects.
So he was wearing the cloak among us.
Yes. Was an overlord and was terrible, and we were going to defeat him. Well, our arcane trickster decided to use, I think it was prestidigitation or something like that, to say, you know what, fuck this guy, I shit his pants.
Oh.
As I say, one of my favorite NPCs, honestly, was the Easter episode
Yep.
with the Frog King.
Yep.
The one that, fish tank crowned?
Yep. The result of I shit his pants was that he was able to tell exactly who the magic came from. And ding! So we had a chase sequence that lasted like 14 miles to the next city.
How many sessions?
That was a 3-session chase sequence. And it was so much fun. And we were so tired by the end of it. And my paladin had been sticking to her sword for most of it and not casting very many spells because I just had a feeling I was going to need them. I got 2 nat 20s in that last session with Sarah Heth. The first one was to persuade the forces of divinity that libraries were sacred spaces and therefore could grant sanctuary.
That's world altering enough. You better run high.
That was a nat 20 for that one. And then my second nat 20 was I want to cast Dimension Door, but I want to put the picture of the cottage in my home plane as fervently in my mind as though I was seeing it in real life and cast my dimension there. And the DM's like, you're going to have to roll high on that. I was like, I'm not done. I took a whole 3 levels in Sorcerer for this purpose. I want to twin my spell and cast Wall of Force to hold the oaken doors of this library shut long enough for the party to get out. And watched my party escape and took 6 of them guards with me after the door closed.
All right, so the next question is John specific, apparently.
Ew.
Yakwe asks, John, if you had to describe Anaya's playstyle in 5 words or less, how would you do it?
You're too nice to me.
All right.
Okay, as a player, not as a DM.
That is as a player.
Oh, as a DM then.
Way too giving.
All right.
Like, seriously.
So the next question
Don't
that
give me 2
Yakwe
toothpicks.
is Anaya specific. It says, if you have to describe John's playstyle in 5 words or less, how would you do it?
As a DM, always look over your shoulder.
That's more than 5 words.
Always look over your shoulder.
Okay, it is 5 words, exactly.
Yes. Always look over your shoulder.
And as a player?
As a player, oof.
That's how you describe me as a player.
Oof, comma, monkey wrench.
Hello, my name's John.
All right.
I'll be your DM's monkey wrench for the day.
All right, so the new question, or the other question, is which player... Okay, that's misspelled, but I'll wing it. Which player would you has grown the most in last year, and what have they taught you in the process?
Which player that you've been playing with has grown the most in the last year, and what did they teach you in the process?
Oh, God. No, that's a solid tie between Chris and you, Pudgy. You
Why?
both have really, really come into your own as players, and I would say that Chris has definitely honed my skills of helping the quieter player get their voice and give it room to shine. Give those characters room to be in the game and encourage the player to come forward. You have really, really helped me hone the skill of preventing obstructive crosstalk.
How so?
Well, early into your playing with us, you got overrun a lot by more eager players. We're gonna use the word eager.
Okay.
And so you have honed my skills in preventing that quite well, actually. And you've really come to the surface as a player, and your characters are so much fun to follow now.
And play.
Yeah.
Play with or against, depending.
Yeah, it depends on their mood.
I don't know. I liked playing that guy that you mushroom stamped. That was fun. You guys were pretty well matched.
I agree.
Yeah, right up until that last wallop.
Actually, about like 5 minutes before that wallop, the battle had gone on for so long. that as a person, not my character, I was literally sitting there like,
I'm getting tired.
like, I'm getting bored. What am I gonna do next? But I did have fun doing it.
Yep.
What about you, John?
John?
Me? Well, as far as growth goes, considering it's only been 8 months, like in the last year, I'm kind of with Anaya on this one. As far as like who I've seen it think has grown the most, it's pretty much a tie between you and Chris. You're edging out just a little bit more, Pudgy, because to be perfectly honest, you came into this 8 months ago having always wanted to play and been blown off by people every chance you got to go and play D&D for years.
Oh yeah, there's been quite a few times where people were like, "Oh yeah, we have a free spot for you. Come and play the game." And I'd set everything aside, make sure I had the time, took off work, whatever. But I made sure I set aside time for the game.
Every DM's dream player in that manner alone.
And then like people at the last minute would be like, "Oh, well, we already filled the spot."
Why did you offer it to me?
Like, what the fuck?
Exactly.
Like, exactly. Why
Well,
did
like, that's the
you,
same
why
thing,
did
when
you
you guys
offer it to
offer
me?
it to me.
Like, why'd you offer it to me like a week and a half ahead of time if you were just gonna tell me like the day before you already got it filled?
Yeah, now we don't play that game around here.
I mean, no, but like even when you guys invited me, like I've been playing so long because not a lot of people I fucking knew played or were interested in playing. Or like, I did that when I was younger.
I mean, to be honest, the way that you got invited to the game, to be entirely straightforward about it, is when I went into the store you were working at, and I first met you, you were talking about how like I had mentioned D&D and how we were looking for sponsors and things along that nature to kind of like help us build. And you had made the comment to me that you had wanted to play, that like you tried to play it before a long time ago, but you haven't played it in a long time and you wanted to play the game. So then when we ended up having like spots open up, the first person that clicked in my head as a player was you. And I'm like, dude, look, this guy, every time I've seen him, he's either wearing a Deadpool shirt or something Marvel. He's got like, comic book shit going on. You can tell he's nerdy. You can tell he's geeky. You can look at his tattoos and tell he's geeky. And it was like, Thomas seems like a really cool dude. Like, is everybody cool with me inviting him over and like, having to meet everybody and become a player? And everybody was like, yeah, that would be awesome. So
I mean,
that's
it's just like
how
when
ended
you
up here.
get like certain hobbies, whether I have a bunch of them, and I've lived from one coast to the other in this country, finding a niche of people that have the same kind of common interests, or even like this. I mean, when I started doing this, I also did improv acting, which was like live LARPing.
Yeah.
Which was really fun, and it was actually offered by the college in the town I lived in. Is like part of the credit for the acting classes. They were trying to drum up more people to go to that, and LARPing and getting in with the geeks was like how they did it, and it turned in from like 10 people to like we had a whole auditorium and like hallways. Like it ended up being like 150 plus people in the town. Like everybody that had a D&D group or White Wolf or something else, fucking all showed up to do this one thing because we got to actually deal with people in real life and like embody and dress up as your characters.
Exactly. Like this is a really good way to connect too, because nobody wants to be in their phone. We need to be paying attention to what everybody else is doing. Nobody's thinking, "Oh, what you paying attention to what I'm doing for?" So that I don't screw up when it's my turn.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, so the next question by Iakwe is best piece of advice for a first-time player who hasn't even started their character yet. Start off, Anaya.
Don't stress it. Don't stress it. If you're a first time player, one, hopefully you have a DM who understands that you've never played before and isn't going to expect a fancy multi-class thing out of 3 different books out of you. Don't stress it. If you bring a character that works, most DMs are going to be happy.
Yeah, what I see.
What do you think?
I'm just as happy with a dwarven fighter as I am with a Thri-Kreen storm wizard and arcane trickster rogue.
Yeah.
Even when you started brand new character, like it's been, like I said, I haven't played since like 3.0 came out. So like this 5 was all new to me. I got the player's handbook, but then I asked questions. What is allowed? Because some people are by the book and very, very this we call it like,
Strict.
not strict. It's like the song by Queen, like We Will Rock You. Like there's certain people like are purists, don't fucking touch the song. There's people like my dad who will fucking make up goddamn lyrics that are wildly inappropriate, but work with the song. Because that's what I did. I asked John and I both, what am I allowed to do? What can I not do? They showed me in the books all the classes I was allowed to be. I can mix and match however I wanted. And then I kind of just started coming up with Torin, like my Dragonkin and Nox.
Yeah.
I like, this is my class. But now, I played a Ranger before in 3.0 and 2.5. So they got rid of a bunch of the really cool shit you still do. But I had a general knowledge of it, and okay, that makes it a little bit easier for me to ease into the new system and the new group. But I asked a lot of questions. What can I do? What am I allowed to do? Like spells are different. They kind of changed that since the last time I played, but I asked a lot of questions.
Yeah. My best advice to any player when they're just starting to make a character, other than obviously talk to your DM, don't think about. Well, obviously, think if you want them to use magic or not, simple things like that. But don't think of them as what's going to be my biggest, what's going to be the most bang for my buck. You've got a whole life ahead of you to play. Also, live all these different lives and multiple different campaigns. I mean, there's more days in the week. You can live those lives and fast forward through nighttime.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, for me, it's like what I had asked you. Well, what do you see yourself being in this world? If you see this guy being, he's trained as a fighter, but he'd much rather just have a nice little bar to himself and set up shop and run a tavern. Well, then build somebody who that's what they're going to retire and do when they're an old man and don't want to fight no more.
Yep.
Well, all right. So me personally, being kind of a new player, I've played in quite a few campaigns since coming out here. The best piece of advice I can give to a first-time player that hasn't even started their character yet is this. Your magic users are more than likely going to be your harder characters to play with, just because of the factor that there's so many spells. You can only choose certain spells that you can use at a certain time. You've got the whole thing where like you only have a certain amount of spells known. You only have a certain amount of spells you can cast per long rest. So if you're starting with a new character, my suggestion would be start with something simple. A rogue. Even fighters tend to be a little complicated. Barbarians are pretty open. I mean, there's different types you can go with. A ranger is another really good one. They have some magic, but not a whole lot. If you want to be a support character, then by all means, go cleric. But again, like I said, the spells get really complicated. Some of them can be really complex. So far, throughout the campaigns I've had a rogue. Wisp actually came to me in a dream when I first got out here, so that's why I'm really partial to Wisp. I actually had a dream that I was in a bar and I was like fighting a bunch of people and I was like this cat guy and I was able to cast magic and create a sword out of my hand, and they called me a hexblade. And I never even knew what a hexblade was. And I had mentioned this dream to John, and John was like, well, check this out. He started pulling all this stuff out of the different books and was like, is this what it looked like? Is this how it seemed when you were doing it? And I'm like, yeah, dude, that sounds exactly, like what I saw in my dream. And that's how I came up.
Read the books before in his life. None of this existed.
Yeah, and that's how I came up with Whisper. So, I mean, mine came to me as a dream. Maybe yours will too. But like I said, my suggestion is start with something simple. The best thing you can do is, for example, there's a lot of different stuff that I've looked at, different materials I've watched. Um, I watched a little bit of Critical Role to try and learn some of the things. Um, Jenny D is immaculate when it comes to like things that you need help for. Um, we're also here for you if you guys have questions about characters. If you're in the chat while we're live streaming or whatever, ask us something. I'm pretty sure somebody will get to you at some point. More than likely, it'll probably be on a bio break. But I don't have any problems being like, yeah, man, this will work for you. It's also a matter of personality. What personality do you choose for your character? Is your character going to be like happy-go-lucky? Are they going to be, goofy? Do you want them to be kind of like sneaky and thievy? All of those can work out. You just have to find your classification. So I guess it would be my first statement would be to figure out what race you want to be. Okay, first thing right off the bat, what race do you want to be? Because each race, some of them have their own specific perks. Some of them have pros and cons either way. So figure out your race first, and then from your race go into what class you want to be, and then depending on level, you can choose your subclass. But yeah, just be creative with it. If it's something that seems like it calls out to you, my suggestion, jump into it. If you aren't into jumping into it, flip a coin, roll a d20.
We do that for a lot of stuff around here.
We had a cat that was outside that wanted to come in the house. So John and I rolled for basically initiative to see if the cat could come in the house and move in. At first, he rolled, he chose highs, which were, he chose yes, I chose no. He rolled, my dice was higher than his, so the answer was no. And then I was like, okay, well, to give the cat a benefit of the doubt, that's 2 out of 3. So the cat ended up winning and was allowed to come in the house and decided it didn't like our cat or was scared of our cat and decided it wanted to go outside immediately. Like,
she's not that terrifying.
It was trying to jump out the window. It was trying to undo the knob.
Now, to be in defense of Malkin, she did not growl, hiss, or complain that first time that she ran into that creature.
No,
She
she
just
was just kind of
talked
talking
shit.
to her.
I don't know what she said in cat language, but apparently it was scary.
That little kitty wanted nothing to do with her.
Whatever, hot.
I've got one from TikTok. The only question that was asked on the TikTok was, would we or have we ever used the Bagman for funsies?
The bag.
The Bagman.
Explain.
The cryptid creature that lives inside a bag of holding.
No, mine lives in the bag of devouring.
I have used the Bagman. I have also been victim of the Bagman and prefer not to anymore, but they are fun. They are a fun way to discourage a player's reliance upon the bag.
I just give more shit than will fit in the bag of holding.
Yakwe had another question. I believe this one is directed primarily towards John. It is, when is character arc coming?
When is character arc coming? When I have like 50 hands. No, like seriously, there's been so much going on and changing over the last year that I completely lost sight of it, and that is on me and my apology. Like, demographics have been changing not just at our table, but in our lives. People come, people go, that type of deal. And as a result, I just really haven't had the time to focus. And I'm still working on rehabilitating my hand. I can't actually draw for more than 45 minutes at a time without it hurting.
The next question is from Pink Pistomio. It says, who made the thumbnail? It's pretty as heck. I'm not sure if they're referring to the thumbnail for this or for Buy the Dice, but...
Well,
This thumbnail is Inaya.
The Buy the Dice thumbnail was John, and it's pretty too.
All right, so the next question was by Iakwe. It says, do you think that multi-classing handicaps a character unnecessarily, and how would you correct for that?
I would say no. I don't think it handicaps the character necessarily, but it would handicap a new player.
I can see what they're talking about as it being a handicap. I mean, if you multi-class, then it's really hard to get that sweet level 20 unless you've got a GM like me who found the rules on the D&D Wikipedia to take things beyond level 20. So there is no cap on Nox. You guys will either win or you will lose.
Our
Or
next,
die.
our next question is: will you be playing the remastered version of Ailwood? If yes, with or without your original characters?
That's a question for y'all. I'm happy to run it.
If Anaya allows me to playtest the new, revamped, far more deadly version of Ailwood, then yes, I would love to play it. It's what Foodies in Space spawned out of after we blew up the gun.
Okay.
They nuked my planet.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
The catch is that if I do it this time, we'd have to start at level 1. It's going to be a long campaign and it's going to be drawn out. And I am totally making a fairy monk.
If there's a TPK,
This tall and a martial artist.
I love that. If there's a TPK, I do plan on presenting the remastered Ailwood as an option.
Okay, so don't worry so much about getting Larice killed. Got it.
Yep.
Keep in mind, this does not mean I'm going to try and get her killed. I really like that bird woman.
I'm partial to Larice too.
She's a bitch.
The difficulty that Hag had with scaring her was a delight to play.
So for me, my first response is this: like, you know, if there is a TPK, one of the ideas I had a while back, which kind of apparently when I mentioned it, everybody kind of really liked it and started going off their own little like view with it. But my original idea was to create like the smallest possible character I could create and turn them into a barbarian. Because I wanted somebody to be like, "Oh, what are you gonna do, Pipsqueak?" And me just be like, "Well," and you know they go through a wall, and I thought that was hilarious, like beyond hilarious in my head. So more than likely, if there is a TPK on any of the campaigns, my next character is more than likely going to be this micro barbarian. Originally, I was gonna make it my Scurrian from another campaign because I love my Ninja Squirrel. I've been wanting a Ninja Squirrel since we first started playing.
We found rules.
But I need to take and add a few things to my Ninja Squirrel to make it even cooler. So until I figure that out, it's just easier to play with another character. Which like I said, if we get TPK'd in Ailwood, okay. If we get TPK'd in Evermist, again, I don't really want to make a new character, but if I have to, I have to. And I guess the easiest way to say it would be like, what was it Jim Carrey said in one of the movies, with Bruce Almighty, I think. Oh yeah, that's the way the cookie crumbles. I mean, that I have to make it. I don't wanna, but I'm gonna.
At this point, if Wisp dies, he's going in a frame.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, if Wisp dies, I'm probably gonna be. I'm gonna be a little upset. So my next character is probably gonna be like a vamped version of Wisp, and I don't mean vamped as in vampire because of his disease. I mean vamped as in like modified to where he's even more, fuck everything up. So the next question is.
Real quick. TPK means total party kill. It's when you kill everyone.
All right.
Yep.
All right. So the next thing is, will Foodies in Space and Nox Vitalia be payable modules.
Or playable modules.
It says payable. I don't know if it's playable or
It sounds like a typo to me, so we'll go with
Possibly.
playable. Well, Aylwood, I know, is in the production of being revamped and play tested. What you all actually saw was the first ever play test of Aylwood. As for Nox, I would need a lot of help typing. Because if I write down Nox, there are going to be a couple extra stats added. It'll end up with its own character sheets as a result, sort of like what happened with Ravenloft. And definitely it'll be third-party content. Absolutely, I would love to. The bigger issue I'm running into is because I built a world, I kind of have the same problem Matt Mercer does, where I'd have to do something like Tal'Dorei Unlimited or Tal'Dorei Reborn, and I just have to write you guys my world, the extracurricular classes for it, the odd mechanics that are incorporated into how this world functions, and then encourage everyone to make stories in my world and tell me all about them.
I think that kind of answers the second part of this question. There was another question underneath that said, if they are, can we expect new races, classes, monsters, NPCs, etc.?
Yes.
Definitely.
There are a total now of 5 between full-on classes and subclasses, new player character options in the revamped Aylwood.
Okay, let's see. To give you guys an idea of how many different plot hooks and paths that they could have taken, right now, bare minimum NPCs that I would have to write down in full are the big bad for the current campaign, the dragon, the head to his cult. I would also have to write down the doll maker, the
Blacksmith.
Oh no, the blacksmith's bard. I can't use her.
Okay.
I would have to write down. There's at least 20 to 30 different NPCs to include, like Laura Leaf if they met, if the party started Never Missed, because I write that as a region chapter. There's the entire city of Kastara's council.
Yeah.
By the way, if you're still hungry, there's one out there.
Okay.
Is there something to drink that isn't coffee?
Mountain
Correct.
Milk.
And that's not coffee in the coffee pot. That's lavender.
I'm not feeling lavender-y.
I get it. It'll probably
There's Mountain Dew right behind you.
I'm looking for my
What's the best
sir?
piece of advice for an artificer? Good question, because I want to know.
My best piece of advice for an artificer.
I mean, it's fun creating mine, but like,
You skipped the question.
Uh-oh.
Oh, we skipped it.
that one just stuck out in my head because I'm like, I want to know the answer to the question because I'm currently learning how to play one.
Well, before we get to that one, the first question before that one is, are there still plans to develop your own TPRPG platform? And will it be FATP compatible so third-party content can transfer over?
Okay, so I was putting some real thought into this recently, and I can't do it alone as a one-man show. Nobody could write a whole system by themselves.
Yeah, no.
Would I want it to be 5e compatible? Yes, because I like third-party content a lot. I buy it. It's great. I support it when I can afford it. At this point, Wizards of the Coast put all of their bare bones game mechanics, so dexterity, strength, intelligence, the stat scores, the character sheet in and of itself, are actually in Creative Commons. So as far as I'm concerned, there is no reason whatsoever other than to add some things to it, like I said, with the character sheet. Nox technically would be a 5e compatible D&D or completely different system by the time I wrote it down. So it kind of does, like you said, bleed into it. I'd have to add stats. I need to add a couple extra skills like diplomacy.
No.
Diplomacy needs to be there, though. It is not persuasion, though you can use persuasion for it. Diplomacy. Oh yeah, and streetwise.
Yep. The diplomacy was a stat alongside dexterity. I would make it my dump stat every time.
No, diplomacy's a skill.
Yeah.
I'm also thinking about adding a couple other stats.
Yeah.
Like make them roll roll the standard, like add willpower as a stat.
Yep.
Bonuses get thrown in with your caster bonus. Negatives get pulled off of it. So you could be a very strong, very intelligent wizard with no willpower and have disadvantage on your attacks.
See,
Ooh, that would suck.
if it were me, I would want to add a mechanic that would work for spell casting because, obviously, voicing, moving your hands, those are all cool spell casting, things that you can do. But the materials are just freaking annoying.
Oh, as a warlock, you have something like that. It's called your spell focus. In your case, as a hex blade, it's your sword.
Yeah, but I'm saying like in the stature of like a wizard or a cleric or some other type of spellcaster, like it's really annoying when you have to, like, for example, the druid class, you got to get sprigs of mistletoe in order to cast like a specific spell. Twig burnt by lightning. I mean, some of this shit is just like, what the fuck, man? Like, why do you need this?
So you create a bag of like a bag of holy, but like magic, like
Actually,
pull shit out of your ass.
You'd be surprised what spell components might be.
yeah,
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
dragon snot.
I think it'd be cool to not have to have spell components in the sense of like, for like example with Wisp, in order for him to cast Circle of Death, I have to have, what was it, Black Pearl Dust. So it's not stuff that you can commonly get unless your DM allows it for you to be able to magically have these different things on you so you can use your magic. And to me, that's obnoxious. You should be able to cast your magic freely.
There are magic items for that. Also, there are silent spells and other spells that do not require components.
Oh yeah. But I'm
ways
saying
to
like,
get rid of that as well.
but I'm saying if we created our own platform, it would be nice to not have to deal with the additional spell components. I mean, wizards carry a wand for a reason. It helps focus and
If they have a spell focus, but until
Yeah.
then, I'd keep components with the spell, but allow for a spell focus or components because some people actually like having to pick up the little ball of sulfur and back one and fling it at people for fireball.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to fling that shit at somebody that they want to incinerate?
I mean, when I did LARP, it was fun to do, but then again, that was to add to the more physicality of that spell.
Makes sense. Alright, so the next question was.
The next question was the one that Thomas was trying to ask. What is your best piece of advice for someone playing an artificer?
Aside from thank your lucky stars that you have a DM that will allow it. Legitimately, artificers have been broken since 2nd edition. They have always been a very broken character. That being said, I would say that the most important thing that you need to know when playing an artificer is how important your homunculus is.
You guys got this. I'm a fat ass. We'll go get seconds.
Well, the rice expanded in my stomach, but I'll get there eventually. I have appetitis stimulators.
So the next two questions are all in the same line, but asking about a bard and a reader.
And so on.
Well, until and so on is defined, I can also say and so forth. But okay, so
I was at one playing Rangers, man. Like there was some stuff at 2.5. Man, I had that guy. I could kill you from a mile and a half away. Like the expansions and third-party content we used.
okay, it gets really scary. And Rangers, best advice for them is you're not on the front line. You're a mid-range.
They're a good DPS character, but yeah, you're not a tank. But here's a lot of really cool things you can do with them. Like specifically class them out as like a sniper type ranger or more of like a hunter, bounty hunter. Like the one I have right now is more of a bounty hunter, like as a base. and went from there. But they're fun. I've never played a bard.
Bards, the best thing that I can give you for a bard is that no matter how much you want to avoid it, if you're going to play a bard, plan on your character being flamboyant.
Yep.
Yeah, which is a good way to like bring out like
Yeah.
when I first started playing characters, I picked ones personality wise that weren't me.
Yeah.
Just to get me to come out of my shell and let me fucking do shit. Like I had an angry ass little dwarf and like crazy fucking metalhead one, like just wasn't me because I'm more quiet and I don't talk that much. So like, kind of pick characters that kind of would push me to become more outgoing, which has served me even in my real life years later.
Kind of funny how that works, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you get to debate, you're basically becoming whatever you want, and don't be afraid to do. Well, this is my fear. I'm not really talkative. You can make a character that does to shut the fuck up, like, and it kind of bleeds into real life where you start getting the ability to start up a conversation, or whatever.
Yeah. Which is always a blast. Like, that's one of my favorite things about game is when, as a DM, when I'm sitting there just watching all of y'all interact, and when it comes to a conflict or something where I need you to roll to decide it because we need to move on past this conflict a bit, I actually love those moments. It gives me time to stop thinking and breathe.
I mean, to be honest, when I first started playing, I was like quiet as shit. I didn't even like to join in for the RP. Like I was kind of like dreading RP. So I'm like, I'm gonna look stupid. I'm gonna sound stupid. I don't want to do it. Quick, let's do some combat.
The
Let's
answer
do some
is
shit.
yes, you will, and you will love it.
It actually ended up where I actually did love doing it. Like actually, Chris kind of got me out of my shell a little bit because Chris was one of the players that everybody was always trying to get him to come out of his shell and be able to talk and play and be more sociable. So he was trying to get me to come out of my shell, and there was one night where he ended up bringing over some alcohol, and he was like, "Here, Pudgy, drink this. Here, Pudgy, drink this." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm already drinking it." And he was like, "No, drink more." And I'm like, "But I'm already drinking it." So after 2 or 3 cups of liquor, I pretty much opened up. It was just like, "Hey."
Yep.
Yeah, we're all kind of really quiet people for the most part in our normal day to day. I'm only outgoing because I play D&D and it helped me learn how to interact with humans.
Which is weird too, because you can be like insanely outgoing and playing game because it's like your little private, protected, safe world. Then you have to go outside and deal with other people. And we're like,
Yeah, it doesn't help that I can't incinerate them. Okay.
I mean, for me, that
where
actually,
is my hammer?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even gonna lie. There was a time when I started playing D&D, one of the first things I had, because I used to have really bad anxiety. Like I could not sit in a room full of people without stressing the fuck out, you know. And at one point when I first came into game, I actually couldn't sit between 2 people on the couch without starting to feel like claustrophobic and get some hardcore anxiety. And then after a while, it just got to the point where I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll sit wherever I want.
I just want to play.
I just want to play. But there's been times when I've gone out in the public and there's a whole bunch of people around me, and all I can think of is like, where's my bag of holding? Where's my bag of holding? I need an axe. I need a sword. Should I roll some dice? Like, why can't people get away from me?
Because you have a very, very high charisma score and they all love you.
I do have a high charisma score, even in real life, and it's just obnoxious.
Yeah, well, now you know how bards feel.
But hey, at least I know I'm ugly, but at the same time, I'm big, fat, and delicious.
I have a high charisma score, but I have disadvantage on my charisma saves.
Looks like there's a bunch of stuff in chat.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. The TPK thing I answered real quick because that's my friend Thomas from Vegas, who is also streaming tonight and needed to pop out just about as quickly as he popped in. But he asked questions and interacted first.
So Iyakwe actually asked a really cool question. The question is Thomas a long-term player or a guest cast member? Honestly, I'm going to answer that right now. It's entirely up to Thomas. We would love to have Thomas as a long-term member.
Yes.
Just some of the stuff that he brings to the game, not only his actual in real life personality, but also his character play. Um, Personally, I feel he is an awesome player, and it would be great for him to be long term. But again, it's entirely his choice. But I'm pretty sure I can agree with everybody, in our group, um, that will honestly say he's a great player and we would love to keep him as a long term player.
Yeah, like let's just be honest about this. We've been Anaya and I have talked shit about you behind your back as far as how nice it is that you're actually like balls to the wall in and this is going to work out great.
Yeah.
We've been talking that kind of shit about you.
You consider like so, just how I got into playing D&D. So I had a unique childhood, but
Nice way to put it.
I moved out when I was 17, lived on my own, and by 19 to 20, I don't remember much of that year. I was drunk. At that time.
Very narrow.
And to the point, on February in Minnesota, I am found passed out in a snowbank taking a nap at fucking 11 o'clock at night. Passed the fuck out, went to a frat party. After 6 bags of saline, stomach pump, and singing the drunk tank, I still blew a .23. Went out the next weekend like a dumbass. Spent like $400, was still sober. And I drank for like 26 hours straight. Didn't sleep, just like kept drinking. And then after that, I was like, well, this is fucking pointless, and I just wasted half my paycheck. And a buddy that was like, well, maybe you should maybe think about doing something else. And so he's like, wait, come over. So I came over to his house on Sunday. They were Saturdays. They did like I think it was called White Fang or something, White Wolf.
Oh, yeah, World of Darkness, White Wolf, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, and then Sundays was their Vampire LARP, and then on Mondays they played D&D. And so I went over on Sunday and just kind of watched the LARP thing, and like got me into a character which I made a bomb master Michi that I could not fucking die, and I was a smuggler. Fucking loved it, and then I got into it, and then that's what got me sober. And then I did that for a couple of years, and then I ended up having to move back home to Texas, and just down there, it's like the culture and the people. It was, Cowboys football and machismo shit, and there was some geeks, but like no one I knew. So then, like, I've been looking to get back into this for a better part of a decade now, and finally found a group of guys who are like, well, like, talked like about it with people, and I'm like, yeah, and then I was like, started talking to these two. They come into my store. I've been working on it for 3 years now, run it now, and then when they offered it to me, I was like, fuck yeah, because I literally got to the point with the chaos of my own personal life that I have no male friends at all. And
Sure you do.
I do now.
I'm halfway there.
Same.
But like for the point, like I was homeless. I am on the verge of a lot of really cool things happening this week that I will probably have my own home in the next month and a half. Like a lot of cool shit, and it was me letting people into my life and letting me help me, or just like last week let me cook when I was here last. I'm like, I'm gonna cook a meal. I haven't cooked a meal for anybody in 3 years. So like, just being able to do that for people and have that type of camaraderie and family, like that's
The positive influence.
Yeah. Well, just having people like, well, one, let you in a safe way escape the chaos that is your life.
And
There's a
genuinely
lot of-
happy to see you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like today, like I know that you were telling me some of your personal stuff that was going on with you yesterday and everything, and I was hitting you up saying, I saw your vehicle, but I saw your house, but I didn't see you.
Yeah.
And it was just like, hey, I wonder what Thomas is doing right now. And I even have told John, I'm like, hey man, just so you know, I'm inviting Thomas over for dinner because he's been out working in Portland.
Yeah.
I don't know how many days, but you've been out there for a while.
Sunday. Oh my God, you left it too long.
I figured you could use a home cooked meal instead of your standard fast food shit or whatever it is you eat.
Macaroni
out.
and cheese.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm gonna invite him out.
Yeah, like I'm taking, like I have to leave in a little, like around 6, but like yeah, I'm taking a break from work.
Yeah,
Been
so I
there all
mean,
day,
you know, I
so, like-
figured you'd like to enjoy a good meal.
But yeah, and I appreciate that. But it's like that. Like I, despite having the blessed gift of gab, like I got from my granddaddy, like I don't like talking to people. I got to do it all day at work. Like because I work customer service, I run a tobacco store. I deal with so many people and all their personalities. But like having a safe place to just not be me and get to be someone else that I've got to create is a great way to just kind of find and rebalance and recharge your battery. The best way I can describe it.
Yeah. And you're welcome at any table I'm going to DM at, man. You're fun to play with.
Yep.
But also too, like I have gotten like creative. Like there's shit in my head. And, like you dream about shit, and like we all have our own world, fantasy world we created in our head, and then like TV or even just having a group of people that like, hey, can I do this? Is this possible?
Yes.
Like create shit. Like I, you know, like an artist, I'm learning how to create like all kinds of like. Well, I heard that you can do this, but like, can I make a potato gun that like shoots flaming farts? Like whatever, you can fucking do it. Like,
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically, all you'd have to do is figure out a way to. You wouldn't even need to use magic for that.
Yeah.
You would actually just have to figure out a way to go and find some sort of a off-vented gas, put it in a canister, condense it.
I'm gonna go sneak up a dragon and catch a fart. That's what I'm
Right.
Good luck.
gonna do.
You can certainly try.
But yeah, just like there's like I live in my head. Like I have literally a tattooed on my arm. It's imagination. It's man's escape from reality. Like that's how I deal. That's how I cope with shit, stress, fucking whatever. Like,
I have huge imagination. I add it to the game. I also add it to my cooking, and it's, you know what this is.
yeah, we all have our own outlets, but like, don't get me wrong. Like, you food, you can do whatever you want with. But this is like, it helps you come out of your shell, but also like find unique things about your personality when you're like, because no matter how much of the book you use, whenever you create a character, you put so much of yourself into it. Like, like most of I played lawfully good and I played fucking evil, but like I'm always chaotic neutral because my own moral compass drives me. So like if this is something I agree with either on character or in person, like that's what I'll do. I can't be one or the other, but like
I could totally be evil. It's just, you know, I would probably end up killing half my teammates. Just
I played an evil character. Yes, I had a lot of fun doing it, but like it like got hard after like 3 months into the campaign. Of like, kind of worse shit can I do it up from fucking last week? Like,
I mean, for me, an evil character would have to be more creative, and I have a lot of creative shit.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
especially if you're evil and you're trying not to piss off a bunch of good people so that you can take over the world in a way where they might be somewhat okay with it.
Right? Psychological warfare is a thing. The next question is, are Liz or Jordan planning to return, or have they parted ways entirely? I totally admire the way you guys handled their departure, by the way.
Thank you. And to the best of my knowledge and estimate, this is a permanent arrangement, and I'm sorry for any disappointment that comes from that.
Yeah. And again, we are not going to bring hard feelings to the table because we don't have any at all. It sucks. It definitely threw the campaigns for a whirl, but we don't have
Animosity.
besmirchment to bring.
Yeah, there's no sense in looking at it as just time for paths to part. Seriously, like, sad to see them go. They were fun to play with.
Yep.
Apparently, this one is specific for me,
Uh-oh.
right? Hang on, got food in my mouth.
That's
right. Not trying to choke on a potato. Might be one of my cousins.
26.
25.
25?
Yep. Pudgy, what is the best thing you've learned from each of the DMs still at the table? Currently, the DM still at the table. Things that I've learned. I mean, I don't know if you mean as far as like personal growth or if you're talking about player wise or
I'd say player wise.
So one of the things that I've learned is that with Anaya's campaigns, there's freedom to do a lot of different things. There's open creativity. It's really easy to break the game. It's really easy to break episodes. It's really easy to break, your campaigns, the storylines. I'm one of those people that I purposely hold back to keep from doing that because there are things that I can do during the game that I know will totally ruin the game.
Oh, knock it off. Knock it off. I've had enough monkey wrenches thrown at me
That's what I'm saying.
that if you break the game, it's just going to morph.
Oh, okay. I mean, if you're giving me the freedom to do it, I'll gladly do it.
Y'all blew
I'll
up the planet that I spent 10 years writing.
I mean, I can do.
In a
I
matter
can
of
do.
weeks.
I mean, I can do worse than that, but I have to actually like when I'm playing campaigns with Anaya as well as when I'm playing campaigns with John's games. I do have to sit here and I do have to like force myself to dumb it down a little bit in the sense of I'm enjoying the campaign and I don't want to break it. And I know that the way that I think, like me personally, I think outside the box. I will literally think of something that is in the game and I will calculate all the risks. I will calculate everything that I can do in this spot in the game. And my brain will be like, do it! And I'm like, no! For example, most recently, John's campaign, we were in the sewers. We were in the cell. There was the pain addiction going on. Both Kalora and I were, Kalora and Wisp were just getting destroyed by the pain addiction. I had taken and grabbed vials of pain addiction, and that's what gave me that pain was because I had, scooped these vials of liquid pain addiction into the little jars and everything. And the reason why I did that is because I was thinking it could come in handy not only for the factor that, Wisp is currently addicted to liquid pain.
So it's called.
So I figured it would be, a way to dose himself until he reaches that point where he can get rid of it. So one of those vials was for those doses to not only help myself but help my teammates to be able to get through that addiction, not really like through it, but the side effects of said addiction. So a way for us to give each other like, a half a dose or a dose, just enough to take the edge off so we're fully functional throughout the campaign. One of my other thoughts was, I'm a weirdo. So I'm pretty sure I could come up with a way to turn liquid pain addiction into a mist and just entirely hose down an entire group of people in a single room, which I was going to do, but then I decided to use my circle of death and kill everybody in the room. And that's because they were far enough distance, and I wasn't going to kill everybody else in my team. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to kill everybody in this room. But had I not been able to reach everybody in the room and they would have actually came out, my next thing was I was going to make fun with the liquid pain addiction. Probably end up, messing up everybody else in my group as well as theirs, but it would have been a worthy sacrifice. Just saying. So
We won.
I'm constantly thinking. I'm constantly going through. With John's campaigns, some of the campaigns John has are they're more for educated, so they're more like you got to use your brain for a lot of the campaigns. A lot of his campaigns are more role playing than combat. Occasionally there is combat, and when there is combat and he starts to giggle, no, no.
Yeah, if John's giggling, run!
I've been giggling for like the last 4 weeks now.
Oh yeah, dude. Like as soon as we went into the portal, because Kalora decided we're gonna go kill us a dragon.
To be fair, Kalora said, I'm going.
True. Kalora did say I'm going.
Kalora gave y'all multiple opportunities to no harm, no foul, no bout.
True. But I mean, we went in anyway.
But John, I think like John has been doing this long enough to know that he has enough more in experience. So like it's educational and more, but he's also pushing you to kind of you created this. What you what are you gonna bring out of it? Like it's more of like
It's you guys are writing the story. I just gave you a world to go play in and know what's
And I mean,
going on.
but like even with that, like you've been doing it like even the few episodes like you were watching last week's. He's covered enough angles to like you can get insanely creative, and he has a pretty quick comeback to retort. Like even like, well, can I push it to this edge, and not get fucking like fucked up? And but like you find that fine line with your character, like I did a couple episodes ago, where well, how far can I sneak this way without being caught? And is it capable for me to do this and still not be fucking like seen? So like he's knowledgeable enough, and he's developed his world that is enough to like, okay, this is your oh shit line, don't fucking cross it, and like and then like the dice will fuck your day up worse than the fucking
worse than anything I did to you.
This is your oh shit line, don't cross it.
So this is kind of an interesting question. Will we see Wisp and other characters as playable NPCs?
Well, that I can tell you that my personal characters, I'm going to transport over all the ones that were in the Witchwoods, so they'll end up in Nox Vitalia somewhere. That's right, Joie de Vivre lives here now.
Yay!
You say that now. He is still a College of Blades bard.
Okay, and I've danced with him in downtown Eugene. I can handle him in Nox Vitalia.
Running naked through the street of a fell-touched land, asking people if they want cookies.
Or special berries I got from this one girl in college.
That too. Yeah, that character's got some problems. Non-binary, asexual, truly androgynous, 6-foot-tall tiefling bard from the College of Blades. So,
yeah.
He will steal your woman and your man, and not do a thing with either of them, but sit back and watch what they do.
My personal response: you guys could probably have all of my other characters, but Wisp and Herbie, unless they're like shop owners or selling like tannery equipment or teaching people how to hunt, I would rather they not, but it would still be pretty cool if they were.
Yeah, a playable NPC basically means something the DM can use in a game.
Oh yeah, I'm aware of that.
Okay,
That's what I'm saying. Like, unless he's serving a good purpose or something hilarious, like him and Herbie, no, that's mine.
Well, do keep in mind that if we published the book, you would technically be getting paid for other people to use Wisp. You would be pimping him out like a pimp.
No, I promise the bookkeeping is mine.
Okay.
I mean, that was my literal dream character.
Yeah, I totally could see that.
I might be willing to do it, like, if I could dumb him down a notch, or like,
make one ish, but not exactly close.
Yeah, make like a duplicate of him, just not exactly like him.
Yeah.
Like maybe make him modernized instead of giving him the top hat, the little overcoat. Maybe give him like a baseball cap, or put him in a shirt where he's got like tie dye on it.
if we were putting them in the Nox like module when I get it published,
Yeah.
any character alterations so that at least the base idea of the character is there. That's up to you. What he's doing in the world, what he retires to do, is what will determine that.
I mean, I
If
wouldn't
not,
mind.
he'll be a tombstone.
I mean, I wouldn't mind having like a Wisp cartoon, and like Wisp and Herbie Great Adventures. That'd be fucking cool.
Well, I'm just gonna put this out there, but there is one catch to the whole thing. Your characters have to survive to the end of the campaign. Otherwise, when I publish, you know what's going to happen? Somewhere on the planet, there will be a memorialized gravestone for each and every one of the PCs that died in the creation of Nox Battalion,
I love that.
with their legends written in stone.
Sometimes shit happens.
I will probably publish Carrie and Kalora as separate entity NPCs, unrelated to Nox and Witchwood.
I once cool.
So apparently the
Well,
next.
you own a portion of Kalora. I'm talking about the basic character build,
Okay,
not quite the world-related experience.
fair. Yep.
Okay, apparently the next question is: do you think the party in Nox could handle the dragon at this stage?
We're almost on the-
They can certainly try.
Yeah, I don't see it happening.
We've learned not to say yes
Okay.
or no.
I'm going to tell you this much. There are exactly, at this point, at their level, with their collective skill sets, 3 ways, count them, 3, that at their current level, they could defeat the dragon,
We'll see.
or at least survive the encounter.
So currently the number one issue that I foresee with our group as far as that campaign goes is this. Ronan apparently has a death wish and has decided that he is going to kill himself one way or another, whether we're there to support him or not, because he just does some off the wall dumb shit. But to be fair, Wisp is also in competition with Ronan, in case you guys haven't noticed, where my stealth is higher. Certain things like my sleight of hand are higher than our current rogue. So there are certain things that, Ronan's like, oh yeah, I can do this. I can unlock this door. And I'm like, well, I can do it better. I'm going to do it. Or,
anything you can do, I can do better. I can do
anything better than you. No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
But no, so like, for like example, the running up the wall in one of the campaigns where
Y'all caught some shit though.
yeah, we did catch some shit.
See,
But
that
to be
is what
fair-
they mean. Fuck around, find out.
To be fair, he caught his way before I did because he was trying to like run past me and like run along the wall, and he just failed. So I ran past him and ran along the wall, and I succeeded. Didn't have any issues. And then he did it again, and he still failed. He ended up getting his leg in the crack, like the sewer crack.
That's what Nat 1 will do for you.
Everything was fine until we came back around the corner, and then I tried to run the wall ahead of him, and ended up dipping a toe in basically. And whereas he ended up falling into the wall, tried to spit on somebody, and just face planted. But it happens.
Don't touch the dirty water.
It's dirty, stinky water.
Yeah.
Well,
That's the other things I'd have to add are disease charts and all kinds of other things.
But I mean, one of the other things I do like about the NPC though, like currently in this current campaign, my favorite NPC right now is literally Screaming the skeleton at the end of the game.
Yeah, by the way, Screamy will be an NPC in there, and yeah, he's special. I figured out why Screamy is the way he is.
Iakwe asked another question. It says rogue, paladin, cleric, fighter, sorcerer, and wizard advice? Question marks.
clarified the end so
Okay.
often.
For rogues, disengage is your absolute best friend.
Yep.
For sorcerer, know your meta magics. And any caster class, do not take the stat boost at level 4. Say the hell with the 2 points to your to distribute amongst your stats, and instead take Warcaster.
Mm-hmm.
That is the best advice I can give to a wizard, a sorcerer, or a warlock.
What
As
about-
far as monk,
What about paladin, cleric, and fighter? They didn't ask about monk.
clerics, take Warcaster.
Yeah.
Paladin, well,
That depends very heavily on oath.
pay very close attention to your oaths. Play to the mechanic and build your everything you're doing around the mechanic of your oath.
Makes it easier.
So much. But yeah, as far as like, and more than anything, especially with warlocks, make sure that you understand everything about your pact, especially because I know they exist out there. If you have a sunny, creepy DM, we all know that those ones exist.
Mm-hmm.
Especially you ladies out there, be careful of them creepers. Make sure that the exact understanding of what your pact with the otherworldly being does with the warlock, and try to be somewhat close enough to your DM that you can pass them notes during games, so you're not interrupting other people's talk when you need to ask questions about what your patron, like communing with your patron and things like that. Warlock is confusing.
I gotta head out, guys.
Yeah, I need to head
Well, I
home.
mean, we're getting ready to like end it anyway.
Yeah, we do have to wrap things up as people has lives and families and jobs.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck it.
I mean,
It's
not to mention,
unfortunate.
I asked all the questions that were on here, and we're at the end of the question there.
So that works. And for anybody who's interested, again, next Thursday, at least Inaya, Pudgy, and I will be back. Thomas may join us again. Maybe not. You're welcome.
Get my new hires trained. Yes, I will.
If your new hires will get trained, you'll be
Also,
back.
don't
I'm
forget,
in the middle
we-
of training a girl that just started today, so like I left some.
Also, don't forget we have the stream on Sunday.
Yep, it'll be Nox Battaglia again.
Yep,
and
Stocks again.
sometime between now and Sunday, you and I need to text back and forth.
I am getting off work. I have a plan. I'm planning to for tomorrow, so I'll eat you plan it over. I
Okay,
get a
cool.
break. So
Sounds good because I should have work tomorrow, but
okay.
All right, so I guess we're gonna wrap this up.
so thank you again for joining us, guys. As always, have a lovely night. We do appreciate you.
You want to drop the soap?
No, don't drop the soap.
Love, peace, and chicken grease.
Yes.
Live long and prosper, and bye.
Later. You got time to smoke? Or you got to dip out?
No.